I'm not sure that an attitude of pro-Israel or pro-Palestine is what will make any difference to the life of Laila or to me.
Please don't pro-Palestine and don't pro-Israel, pro-peace. This is what we need.
מה הזיכרון האחרון שלך ממנה?
ما هي الذكرى الأخيرة التي كانت بينكم؟
אני חושב שהיא התקשרה יום קודם ואמרה, מחר בערב אני אבוא הביתה.
الذكرى الأولى أو يمكن الأخيرة اللي كانت بيننا مرة واحدة التقيت أنا وياه زورته في السجن المرة الوحيدة.
שהוא קנה לי ליום הולדת פרפר מנייר שהוא עשה.
آخر مرة كان بيني وبين محمود جاب إخوته على البيت وكان خايف عليهم وطلع من البيت ويضحك ويسوي لي إشارة باي.
הוא עלה לאוטובוס בצומת שואבה
ואמרנו אחד לשני ביי ביי, וזהו.
פעם אחרונה שראיתי אותו רבנו, ואמרתי לו הלוואי שתמות בצבא.
كنت حاضنته بين ايدي وهو متوفي واجيت ابوسه على خده، بس كان خده كتير بارد وكان مثل الصخرة. حاولت احضنه كتير قوي عشان كان عندي فكرة انه احتمال او ممكن تصير معجزة ويرجع للحياة.
האם אתה משתמש בחפצים שלה? לא.
لا، أنا محتفظ فيها كلها، ممنوع حدا يسيبها إلا بس للتنظيف ولا إن أنا أطلع فيها، نشم ريحتها فيها.
לא נוגעים בחפצים שלו.
אני התחתנתי, אז הכיפה שלי הייתה בעצם כובע סרוג כזה, שזה הכובע שלו.
יש בחדר האמבטיה עדיין בקבוק בושם שלה. לא פתחתי אותו ב-19 שנים האחרונות, אבל מספיק שאני הולך ברחוב ואני מריח איזו גברת שהולכת עם אותו בושם, שאני נגמר באותה שנייה.
كل أغراضه جمعتهم بصندوق وخبيتهم. إحنا ما بنستعملهم، إنه بقعد لحالي بطول أغراضه بصير أتذكر.
שמרתי סוודר אחד שלו עד היום. לא פתחתי אותו, לא הרחתי אותו, לא נגעתי בו מאז שהוא מת. هل تشارك بمراسم يوم الذكرى مع محتليك؟
אתה הולך לטקס של מחבלים, אני אוהב את השאלה הזאת. שאלה שאני מתמודד איתה הרבה.
מה זה מחבלים?
بالعكس أنا بكون مبسوطة إنه أنا قدرت أوصل لهاي المرحلة من السلام الداخلي في البداية قبل السلام الخارجي.
אני הולכת לכל הטקסים במטרה להסביר ששכול זה מיותר.
אני לא הולכת לטקס של מחבלים, אני הולכת לטקס של משפחות שכולות.
זה לא טקס של מחבלים, זה טקס שמאחד את הכאב של כל הצדדים.
أشارك بالمراسم مع ناس بيآمنوا بنفس الفكرة اللي بآمن فيها.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
لا نريدكم هنا.
לא רוצים אתכם פה.
لا نريدكم هنا.
لا نريدكم هنا.
لا نريدكم هنا. אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
لا نريدكم هنا.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה. אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
لا نريدكم هنا.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
لا نريدكم هنا.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
لا نريدكم هنا.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
لا نريدكم هنا.
עופו מפה. אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
אנחנו לא רוצים אתכם פה.
I think I need to tell you why I joined this organization and why I believe with all my heart that we need to have a framework for a reconciliation process to be an integral part of any political future peace agreement. Because we've signed all kinds of agreements on the White House lawn, but in fact, we do not have peace and people are giving up hope, and you cannot give up hope. Because when you do that, there can never be peace. I joined this organization of more than 600 families who've all lost an immediate family member after I lost my son, David. When the army came to tell me that David had been killed by a Palestinian sniper, one of the first things that I said is, you may not kill anybody in the name of my child. And that was the beginning of what I was going to be doing really with the rest of my life. I knew I wanted to do anything possible to prevent other mothers, both Palestinian and Israeli, from experiencing this pain. In fact, I found a way through the parent circle to meet with other bereaved parents. And I remember going to a meeting in Jerusalem where I looked into the eyes of the Palestinian mothers, and I knew immediately that we shared the same pain, and that when we stood over a grave, the tears would be the same color. I went to South Africa with a film company, and we made a documentary about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and wanted to see what lessons we could learn. But one of the most extraordinary experiences there was meeting a woman who had lost her daughter and had gone to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and said to the people who killed her daughter, "I forgive you." And I wanted to know what the meaning of forgiving is. She said, forgiving is giving up your just right to revenge. And then I met the man who actually sent the people to kill her daughter. And he said, by her forgiving me, she released me from the prison of my inhumanity. And I want to give Laila an opportunity. I want to introduce you to her. And she's my sister. We've traveled a lot together. And I think it's time for me to keep quiet and allow you your space to.
Good evening. My name is Laila Sheikh. I'm a Palestinian Muslim mother from Bethlehem, West Bank. I was born in Jordan because my family went to Jordan in 1967. My father was a teacher and he went to teach the children in the camps there. So after that, the war was started and the Israeli government closed the borders. So they lost their citizenship as Palestinian and they become Jordanian. So my father always speaks about Palestine, about his relative, his house, all the things that he did in Palestine. So I love Palestine because of what I heard from my father. So I came to Palestine in 1999. I met my husband in Jordan and we came back here in 1999 to get married. And it was like a dream come true. And I was really so happy to be here in Palestine. Unfortunately, after 1 year, the second uprising was started. And during that time, the Israeli government take a decision not to give the people like me who came from other country, Palestinian ID. So that meant I can go freely from place to place. Most of the time I should stay at home. That time I was hoped that will be just for a few days and it will end soon, but unfortunately every day it's become more worse and worse. But at that time I was taking care of my husband and my daughter and didn't try not to think about what's going on around. So after another year, we have our second son. He was a boy. He was a very beautiful, intelligent boy. And our happiness became much more because our family became bigger. On the 11th of April 2002, 4 o'clock in the morning, he was woke up in very critical condition because at that time the Israeli soldiers came to our village at that night and threw tear gas and he smelled some of it. So we tried to take him to a hospital inside Bethlehem, but they prevented us. And we then tried to take him to another hospital in Hebron, but the soldiers stopped us for more than 4 hours. When we arrived, the doctor said it's too late to save his life. And the end of that day, he was died. From that moment, our life became like upside down. I was full of hatred and anger against all the Israelis because for me, all of them responsible about his death. At that time, I didn't think to take revenge because revenge will never bring my son back. But at the same time, I take a decision not to talk to any Israeli person. So for more than 16 years, I was really refused to have any kind of relationship with them until the day one of my friends told me about the Barron Circle and he invited me to a conference in Bethlehem. In the beginning, I was refused and tell my friend, how could you ask me to do this? And you know what happened to me? And then he said, I want to ask you a question. Why until now you didn't tell your other children about what happened to their brother? I said to him, because I didn't want them to be part of this cycle of violence, because if they know, maybe they start to think to take revenge. I lost one of them, and that was much more than enough for me. I didn't want to lose any one of them. So he said to me, but maybe this will be a good chance not just to save your children, maybe other children. We go to that conference. In the beginning, they were just Palestinian. I sit with them, start to talk to them. 5 minutes later, the Israelis start to enter that room. And then I try to leave because I start to feel there's something at me in my chest. Then something happened, amazed me. So I saw the Israelis and the Palestinians start to hug each other like family members. And it seems that they love each other, knows each other like from many, many years. And this is the first time I saw something like that. So when they start to talk about their personal stories and how they lost their beloved ones, it was the first time I looked to them as a human like me, that we share the same pain, we share the same tears, even if we have a different circumstances. So I decided to participate in one of the projects called Better Narrative Project. And it was a group for women. So it was the first time I spoke about what happened to my son in front of people. I couldn't complete the story. I started to cry. Then an Israeli woman came and she started to apologize. So she said, yeah, I didn't hurt you, but the people who hurt you from my own people, and I'm a mother too, I could understand your pain. I could understand the words that you couldn't say. And she came and hugged me and she started to cry. So it was the first time someone could understand my pain, could feel my pain too. And it was really, her word was like a light come from dark and deep place, open my heart and my mind again to rethink about the reality around me. So from that moment, I decided to be a member of the forum, start to give lectures inside Israel, Palestine, travel around the world to spread the message of peace and reconciliation. And during the journey, I started to learn a lot of things about the Israelis that I didn't know about, and start to learn about myself. And I rethink to forgive those people who were responsible about the death of my son too. So forgiveness for me, it's not to forget my son or forget what happened to him, but to put the hatred and the anger away and to open like a new page of my life. So when the hatred and the anger control our life, that will make our life much more harder. And when we try to talk about peace and reconciliation, the most important thing to feel peace from inside, to could spread the message in the right way. So from that time, I start to have many friends from the Israeli side. Many of them, I start to call them brothers and sisters. And one of them is my sister, Ruby. She is like blessed, came to my life. She helped me a lot and she supported me. So thank you so much. And because of that, we are here tonight and feel free for any question you think you have. Thank you. We have two sides of people. Some people who encourage us, some people who supported us, but at the same time, there are people who are against, and they said that we make normalization and we are traitors. But even though we have that kind of problem, because we believe in our work, so we try to convince them. Some of them, even if they are convinced, but they didn't like what we were doing, so they keep quiet. And about the Palestinian Authority, they supported us, but not in the scene. Like under the table. They didn't want to show that they supported us. And at the same time, they didn't let us go to schools to talk to children inside the schools, but we could meet them in their houses or other places. I will let Roby to complete now.
Well, firstly, I think it should be made clear that almost all of the Palestinian men in the parent circle have been to jail for political reasons and have lost an immediate family member. So that already gives them some credit in the Palestinian society. It would be very hard to call them traitors. As far as the Israelis are concerned, if you're asking about the government, there are members in the opposition who are, just in simple terms, very terrifying. We do a lot of work in schools so that we speak to 17-year-olds before they go to the army. It will probably be the first time they ever met a Palestinian and listen to a story of loss and of reconciliation and of transformation. And of late, the same Itamar Ben-Gvir has been trying to sabotage our work in schools by creating demonstrations outside and encouraging the kids not to go into the classroom while being draped in Israeli flags. But of course, we will not give up, and we continue to work in the schools. If you belong to the parent circle, you obviously are aligned to our message of nonviolence and reconciliation. And of course, we are against the occupation, not only because of the lack of human rights, freedom of movement, and all of the things that go together with being occupied, but we also believe that the occupation is killing the moral fiber of Israel. You cannot occupy a country, a people, for so many years and not expect that it will affect your own society. And so it's complicated. And when you go into a refugee camp or to a house of a Palestinian woman, in the beginning, there's this sense of complete distrust. Who have they ever met is a soldier or a woman settler or a settler? Why would they think I'm any different? And so there's this total cutoff. And what we do is to try, wherever we can, to create an atmosphere where people can identify with the fact that we all have to look for our humanity. But I'm not sure that an attitude of pro-Israel or pro-Palestine is what will make any difference to the life of Laila or to me. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's not about taking sides, which is generally the situation that people really like, to be either pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, because it makes you feel good about yourself. So when you are pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, what you are doing is importing our conflict into your country and creating hatred and anger amongst Jews and Muslims and amongst other people as well. So I would ask you, from the bottom of my heart, if you cannot be a part of the solution, leave us alone. That doesn't mean you must not talk about the situation here or be very informed. Well, I have to give you some news. Neither side is going to disappear. So why not try to be part of the solution and not the problem?
Maybe as Roby mentioned before, please don't pro-Palestine and don't pro-Israel, pro-peace. This is what we need. Because when someone like pro just one side, it makes our life much more harder. And what we need here is peace, because we feel it's enough. It's the time now to live normally like other people in any other countries. And maybe one of the other things that you could do to help us to give us your donation to complete our project, to spread the message much better. And
I think it's terribly important to tell people about us. We do work on the ground, and that's the most important part, and that's where you can support us. For instance, I'll tell you about a project that we're doing in the West Bank. The Palestinian women in our group wanted to find a way to increment their income, because you know it's not so easy to be a peace worker if you don't have money to pay for the education of your kids or for putting food on the table. And so I sat down with the Palestinian women one Saturday morning and asked them, what do you want? What is the thing that you really want to do? And they said, we want to earn our own money. And so I said, okay, tell me what's your passion? And one likes to do flowers, and one photography, and one sewing, and one nails and makeup. And I said, wow, let's open a wedding planning business. And now 40 women have started to do courses in the subject that they love best. And we're going to do a wedding for a bride that can't afford to do a wedding as a practice. And we got dresses from Chicago. And so if you wanted to support something like that, we need to buy 10 mixers and 10 ovens. Here's something practical. If you really wanted to do something to contribute to this, because this is hope.